Hello, I'm Tetsujin USA, and I'm here with my first deck guide on Mega Lopunny EX and Mega Froslass EX. This is a deck I used at a cup literally this Saturday. I did really well. I made it to finals until I got absolutely destroyed by a Blood Moon deck. But this is a deck I'm considering on playing to NEIC. Alright, so now I got my deck list laid out. If you want to pause the video and copy down the deck, feel free to. So we're going to start off with the Pokemon. So our main attacker is Mega Lopunny EX with the Gale Thrust attack, which does 60 damage, but if this Pokemon moved from the bench to the active spot during this turn, it does 170 more damage. It isn't a lot of damage. I mean, it can OHKO some 2 prize Pokemon, like for example, a Pheasantipede EX. And then we have 2 Baniri, because that's what it evolves from. Then we have a Mega Froslass EX, our secondary attacker, with a Resentful Refrain attack, which does 50 damage for each card in your opponent's hand. This card is useful into matchups that are fighting decks that Mega Lopunny is weakened to, and in general, the Mirror matchup. Then we have 2 Snorunt, that's what it evolves from. Then we have the Dunsparce EX, which has a Tenacious Tail attack. The only deck you're going to want to run this into is against Raging Bolt and those big basic decks. Then we have 3 to Dunsparce for our draw. 3-1 line of Dunsparce. I can't pronounce it. So many duds. 70 HP, 3 of them, and then 160 HP because it has free retreat. Then we have supporting Pokemon, Fanrotom, which lets us search out 3 Pokemon, which could be one of these, 2 of these, any combination depending on the matchup. Psyduck, because of Dusknoir, it's a very played card right now, and it just stops it. And Chain Pow to get those pesky Watchtowers out of play, which completely ruins our draw engine. Then we have 4 Lily's Determination, start of the game, lets you get a fresh new hand of 8 cards. And finally, the glue of the deck. This is the reason why the whole deck works. Wally's Compassion. Heal all damage from one of your Mega Evolution Pokemon EX. If you healed any damage in this way, put all energy attached to that Pokemon into your hand. Now, it's kind of annoying because you have to attach. You can't make multiple attachments per turn. However, we are not in a one-hit KO format right now. So this Mega Lopunny right here, if it has let's just say 10 HP remaining, boom, all that hard work that your opponent tried to get onto the Mega Lopunny is gone. Now, if it gets one-hit KO'd, you're kind of in trouble. However, that most of the time won't happen because Dragapult's 50% of the meta right now, and that's a spread deck. Then we have 3 Hilda, which lets us search any energy and an evolution Pokemon, which is essential for stepping up, and 3 Boss's Orders. By the way, forgive me guys, I'm still working on trying to bling this deck out. Alright, and now to the item cards. Beware of item lock, so you're going to want to use these on your first turn. And whenever you're not getting item locked. 4 to Buddy Poffin for consistency and to get your Pokemon out. For example, you could Buddy Poffin into a Fanrotom and a Baniri or a Snorunt, then Fan Call to get a Baniri and then 2 Dunsparce. Then we have 4 Pokemon, which let us search for any Pokemon in our deck without a roll box. Great for finding pretty much anything to set up. For example, Baniri's, Dunsparce, to Dunsparce, Chain Pow, for example. You're being watchtowered, you can't draw anything, but you have a Pokepad in your hand, and you're not under item lock, you have a bench space open, play down a Chain Pow, and your watchtower's gone, then you can start drawing cards like crazy again. 2 Pokegear 3.0 to find Lily's Determination, Wally's Compassion, Hilda, our supporters. And we run these just because we don't want to run a Meowth because it's too big of a liability in this deck, and there's usually no bench space for it. And then we have a Night Stretcher, one of them, just to get back a Pokemon or an energy, a water energy. usually it's a Pokemon, back into our hand just in case we like prize one or something bad happens. For example, a Raging Bolt matchup, if our Dunsparce EX gets KO'd and we don't exactly have a good response, we could just Night Stretcher back into the Dunsparce, attach one energy, and start swinging again. Then we have Special Red card, which states that this is a new card from Chaos Rising. You can use this card only if your opponent has 3 or fewer prize cards remaining. Your opponent shuffles their hand and puts it on the bottom of their deck. If they put any cards on the bottom of their deck in this way, they draw 3 cards. Then we got 2 Air Balloon, which helps with Mega Lopunny EX. If you attach one, retreat into Dunsparce, and then shuffle the Dunsparce back into your deck, because the Dunsparce's Runaway Draw ability states that once your turn, you may draw 3 cards. If you drew any cards in this way, shuffle this Pokemon and all attached cards into your deck. That means that you get pretty much a double retreat per turn, thus getting you 230 damage per turn on your Mega Lopunny EX. And 2 Battle Cage just for the Dragapult matchups, so that way they won't easily be able to kill your Psyduck, your 60 HP Dunsparce if you happen to have that at the start of the game, or just things that they're trying to sprinkle damage around with. It's also a great stadium bump too. For example, Dragapult has been known to run Watchtower and Gemming Tower, 2 towers, in Chaos Rising format, and it's kind of scary for this deck. However, with these, we'll be able to do fine. And now to our energy cards. For our energy cards, we run 4 Mist Energy to stop any effects of attacks. This will be great into the Alakazam matchup, which Alakazam, it's always an effective attack. And this also stops Dragapult's Phantom Dive Sprinkle onto the bench. Then we run 3 Water Energy to charge up our Mega Froslass. And our A-Spec really runs well with this deck. It's Enriching Energy. As long as this card is attached to a Pokemon, it provides a normal energy. However, colorless, my bad. When you attach this card from your hand to a Pokemon, draw 4 cards. Now, usually this isn't too good because you just get 1 attachment of this and then it's going to be discarded eventually. However, with Wally's Compassion, you can return this into your hand. With Runaway Draw, if you attach this to a Dunsparce, you could shuffle it back into your deck. Then you could Hilda and grab it again for next turn. And that is our deck overview. Now into the matchups. So this deck lost most of its identity. It used to be a Dusknoir Jet Energy build. However, now it's more of a tank deck. Also, by the way, I just want to note, there are some variants running a Moltres just to deal with Mega Kangaskhan Raging Bolt, because they run Teal Mask Ogerpon. This is something they really struggle against. However, I chose to run to Dunsparce because it's easier to maneuver with. Into Dragapult EX, you always want to go first with this deck. Dragapult. Phantom Dive. 200 damage and put 6 damage counters onto your opponent's bench in any way you like. As I said, we can stop this with a Mist Energy and a Battle Cage. And the new builds in Chaos Rising are running more of a Dusknoir, which we have Psyduck for to stop them. If they boss up Psyduck, kill it, we have a lot of ability to Night Stretcher. Usually we're going to go on a 2 prize map or 1-2 until we wait for the red card. And most of the time it's going to be 1-2, which is 5. However, they usually get 1 Dusknoir pop off per game. So I don't know what to tell you. This deck is usually slow. But we have a really good matchup into it because we have Gale Thrust, we have Mega Froslass. You're usually just going to want to have 1 Baneri, 2 Dunsparce, and a Snorunt on the bench. And by the way, watch out for Item Lock. Then we have Team Rocket's Mewtwo. Again, another good deck. They usually have large hands, so just make a Froslass them, and that's an auto win. Cynthia's Garchomp is a really bad matchup for us, so just make a Froslass, hope they have a large hand. Alakazam, 4 Mist Energy, Baneri on the bench. Hope they don't get a Dedenne out. And finally, Crustle. I don't even need to explain this to you. Look at the second attack, and you pretty much win every single match against this deck. Thank you so much for watching. I am TCG USA. I hope you enjoyed.